It's 4-2 at this stage. Manchester City are going through. Spurs have a corner. It's played in. It comes off. Fernando Llorente ends up in the back of the net. The goal is given. The referee goes to check VAR. He's been told by VAR to go and have a look. There is a question whether or not it comes off Fernando Llorente's hand as it goes off his hip, then to go into the back of the net. The referee, you could see the referee after he's looked at it, goes to the City bench and he kind of taps his hip. Taps his hip, suggests that's where the contact
Well, he was told, and he was told to go and look at it because the officials above or outside thought there was something they had to look at. Then, in my opinion, he was given the wrong angles by the host broadcaster. So
time and time again.
Time and time again. They tried to rock and roll it to determine whether it hit the arm, which, from another angle, the best angle, it clearly hits the arm.
This is the one from behind the goal through the net.
Yeah, through the net. You can clearly see. So it hits the arm, then goes onto the hip and it goes in. So, for those out there saying, well, it's not obvious, it's not clear, there's no intent, think about this. The arm cannot have a material effect in a goal being scored. And this does. I was saying to you before we came on air, if you're running through on goal and the ball's bobbling up and your arm's by your side, right by your side, and you've no intent, but it hits it and it just pushes it into the path and then you score, that goal is chopped off because it has had a material effect on the outcome, whether you meant it or not. And I think we're all kind of on the same page in terms of the fact it comes off the arm, onto the hip and then in, and then it's had a material effect, and a goal being scored and should be chopped.
In other words, I think that's a key point on a goal being scored, because let's for a moment assume that we're talking about Spurs defending, and the ball comes overheads and into a crowd and somehow hits Llorente in the arm and then on the thigh, let's say, and then he clears the ball.
Right.
That's not a penalty.
Okay.
That's a totally different scenario here. If it brushes the arm and hits him on the thigh and he clears it, fine. That's not a penalty. Take your throw in or wherever the ball goes. But it brushes your arm and hits the hip and ends up in the back of the net. Then, now, given the redraft of the law, that should have been chalked off.
In other words, he gains an advantage by utilizing his arm. Otherwise, the goal is not scored. And so, therefore, if it comes off the arm, and I don't care where it goes after that, it goes off the arm and into the back of the net, then you have gained an advantage. Right. And at that point, therefore, it should be a handball and should be called back. But to Chunichak here, the referee, to be fair to him, if I were in his position and I'd been shown the same things that he was shown in the replay, I would have done exactly what he did and trust his own judgment. Said, from what I can see here, this is not clear and obvious, and so therefore, see you guys later. I'm going to trust what I saw out on the field. It's not a penalty. But that's what he was given. And that's what I don't quite understand, is that do we have a system in place in which we can show the replay to us watching it, but to the guy whose decision makes all the difference in the world, the referee, he doesn't get the correct angle? That cannot be happening.
That's correct. I mean, you on that angle, he had to stick with his decision.
Yeah, had to.
But I'm flabbergasted that he wasn't given. I mean, there was probably, I'm thinking back to, there'd be plus 20 cameras at that game. Yeah. Probably more, maybe 30. I'm flabbergasted he didn't get half a dozen angles minimum. Low, high, from behind the goal, the one that he got rock and rolled all the time, which was really inconclusive. Yeah. When there was better angles out there, and then he can make an informed decision rather than just seeing the one thing going back and forward all the time. I don't think he was done any favours in getting to his decision, which was sticking by his original decision.
Moving on from that, obviously it's something that we could dwell on a lot, but it's interesting, as always, every day I put out a tweet saying any questions for the boys, for extra time. A lot of them asking if Pep is overrated. Is Pep a fraud? Can Pep do it without Lionel Messi? Because the thing is, you take a look at his Champions League record, and of late, obviously, he has stumbled. Not at the final hurdle, at the quarter-final stage, at the semi-final stage, round of 16, of course, before that.
Well, we're in a knockout competition now, and for anybody that sends a tweet in asking if Pep Guardiola is a fraud, it should be taken down immediately. Because the man is not a fraud, right? His teams, looking at him domestically, are magnificent. And that was proven last year, and it might be proven again this year. Now, when you're in there's no lack of criticism coming his way. He's not getting off scot-free. I mentioned De Bruyne. There are maybe other things we can look at as well. However, when you're in a knockout competition like this, you're only a couple of Laporte mistakes away from going out. It happened to them last year at Anfield. They had a really bad 90 minutes. It cost them. They've had a bad, 10, 15 minutes, maybe max in this game. And then a referee decision. That's cost them.
You're only a missed Kun Aguero penalty away from going through.
Yes.
Which, of course, I mean, maybe I'm not giving Lloris his fair due here. It was a good save from him. But had Kun Aguero scored that penalty, we're having a totally different discussion at this point. Those are the margins when you're playing football at the highest level.
I think one big question that you can certainly ask Pep Guardiola here is the point that was brought up earlier by Craig. The idea that you see Kevin De Bruyne play today and that he was not available or he was decided upon or against to start against Spurs in that first leg, which doesn't quite make sense. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt, say, maybe he's carrying a knock. Maybe he's not fully fit. Man, but you got to give him more than the couple of minutes you gave him. Not the 88th minute, because then you see the sort of difference that he makes. Individually, he was excellent. Raheem Sterling, he was excellent. And across the board, there were a lot of excellent performances from Manchester City. But I also think that you have to ask the question from both teams, not only Manchester City, but both teams. One of the things as players that happens very regularly, after you scored a goal, you're running back to midfield to kick the ball off again. Hey, next 5 minutes, guys. Next 5 minutes. Let's make sure we're solid. Let's make sure
5 seconds.
Yes, let's make sure we're organized. Neither one of the teams got themselves organized after the goals. And that's when momentum changed back and forth. And it feels sort of ridiculous that at this level, we're having the sort of momentum shift that we see in an U10 game. Right. Not a Champions League quarterfinal.
I tell you what, when the Sterling fifth goal.
That was the fifth. That was the fifth goal. Yeah, the one that was chalked off.
Yeah, the fifth. Yeah. We've lost track.
Yeah.
And as Ali mentioned, his performance once again, shows why he's elevated to elite level. Yeah. However, when that VAR check came up, Christian Eriksen must have melted into it.
Eriksen, obviously, who gave it away.
There is a God. There is a God. Because he gave it away.
Yeah.
He gave it away, and I say only. I don't think the ball was going to get to Aguero because of its trajectory, but certainly when Bernardo Silva made an effort to play it, it then launched into that path.
Also in all of this, we have to give Spurs their credit for what they managed to do against an incredible Manchester City team over 2 legs. Without your talisman in Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, who has been simply outstanding, steps up and scores 2 brilliant goals. His second was a simply stunning finish. And then you have the injury, and Llorente has to come on, and he plays a part which we've spoken about extensively. This is a Spurs team who may be stumbling in the league, and we were questioning over the last couple of weeks, can they hang on to the top 4? But they showed that with this squad, they are able to match the best in Europe. Yeah. Where if it's over 2 legs, so be it. And it shows exactly how good a job that Pochettino continues to do, despite spending next to no money over the course of 2 years. Fair play to them. And on the night, again, and being a goalkeeper, I have to point this out, Hugo Lloris has come under some criticism over recent weeks. He was outstanding tonight.
The save from De Bruyne in particular.
That was an incredible save. But I thought just throughout, all of his handling was solid. And again, this is about a goalkeeper who's been criticised a lot.
Have you made this about Hugo Lloris?
I tell you what, by the way, you brought the point up earlier. He was hammering VAR early in the season, Pochettino.
Yeah.
And now, is that not irony? I mean, the other thing is, he never signed a player in the summer.
Yeah.
Never signed a player. You look at the wages, and they're half, 50% of the other English teams that are in the top 6. So the other 5 big boys are spending double on salary. He doesn't bring anybody in. He loses his best player. He could go to Man City and play one up front. Not take the easy way out. He could say, I'll play one up. I'll flood the midfield. But he never. He at least put 2 up, and he said, OK, if you're going to make a mistake, we're going to capitalise on it. So he has been, Spurs Ajax is going to be a heck of a 2-legger.
One of the things that we have questioned, and I think fairly so, of Spurs over the last few years is the mentality of the group. How to overcome moments in which you need to deliver a result and you come up short. There were plenty of chances for Spurs in this game to say, it's not happening for us. There were plenty of opportunities for them to take that turn away from being successful and say, you know what, we're too afraid to take this step. And you saw a team that, given the circumstances and given what was put in front of them, they met that challenge head on. That's growth, that's maturity, that's a hand of players individually, but that's also the hand of Mauricio Pochettino.
For more, sign up now for ESPN Plus.